Welcome back to World of Immersion. Last night was the opening night of Halloween Horror Nights 2023 at Universal Studios Hollywood, and it was a fantastic night. If you haven't already, be sure to check out our vlog that was just posted from last night. It was a ton of fun. We got to go through every single one of the mazes. We got to do every experience, see the shows. It was a really great event. I would highly recommend checking out that video, and I would definitely recommend coming to Halloween Horror Nights this year if you can. But today we're going to be ranking every single one of the mazes, including the Tram. I know it's not a maze, but we're going to be including it in this list at Universal Studios Hollywood Halloween Horror Nights in 2023. This year was a fantastic year. Overall, the quality of mazes was really good. I think overall it was better than last year. We'll have a full comparison video up soon comparing last year to this year. But I thought that the mazes this year were really good. But there were definitely some clear standouts in my opinion. Now, before we start this video, I just want to put a little disclaimer saying that all of these rankings could change very drastically within the next few weeks. It was just opening night last night, and while we did get a chance to go through every single one of the mazes at least twice, because I had a chance to go to team member preview on Tuesday, it's very possible that these rankings can switch up. The mazes vary so much night to night, and later in the season, sometimes certain mazes will get a lot better. Like for me last year, that was the weekend. I remember in my original rankings video, I placed the weekend at number 7, whereas towards the end of the season, I had it at number 3. So we're definitely going to have a final rankings video after the season's over. But for now, this is our initial ranking, just so we can give a good idea of what the best mazes are at the event this year. With that out of the way, though, let's get right into the video. Alright, so starting off at number 9, my least favorite experience at the event this year was the Tram, the Exterminators. Now, don't get me wrong, this wasn't a bad Tram. In fact, it probably was my favorite Tram they've ever had out of the ones that I've been doing. I've only been doing them for now 3 years now, but it was definitely my favorite of the Trams. However, I just really don't like the Tram in general. It's not necessarily bad, it's still somewhat scary. I just feel like it takes forever. You have to get on the tram. It takes quite a while to get down to where you actually hop off the tram. It's just a lot of walking, and the scares are pretty spaced out. Additionally, I don't really like scares that are outside. Scare zones can be really fun, but when it's like a maze thing, like an experience you're actually waiting in line for, I'd rather be indoors. It seems a lot scarier to me. You can get those timed scares with the flashing lights and sounds. And just being outside, it's not as scary. However, this year I really do like the theme. I thought the Bugs theme was really cool. The costumes were amazing. And there were some really good scares. There also was some additional scenes at the end where you did go inside a little bit. And that was definitely this highlight of the maze for me. It was a lot of fun. It wasn't bad at all. If you have a lot of extra time, I would recommend doing it. However, if you don't, if you're running short on time, this is going to take you almost over an hour to complete, not even including the queue. So I would definitely recommend doing some of the other mazes at the event instead of the Tram if you have a lot less time. Alright, but let's start off by talking about my least favorite actual maze. So coming in at number 8, unfortunately, this is going to be Universal Monsters Unmasked. Now, this was one of the mazes I was most excited for, and to be completely honest, it was the most disappointing maze in my opinion. I am a huge fan of the classic Monsters mazes. Last year, Legends Collide I thought was amazing. It had a great soundtrack, some really good set design, and Bride of Frankenstein is one of my favorite mazes they've ever had at Halloween Horror Nights ever. And Universal Monsters Unmasked was just not it. It started off decently strong. The facade is okay. It wasn't too bad. And it started off pretty well with some cool set design. There were some really good scares in there. Don't get me wrong. It was definitely a scary maze. It just slowly died out towards the end. And towards the end of the maze, it was just all black walls. You would have black walls with like 1 or 2 scares at the end, and it was just no set design at all at the end. However, I definitely think that this is not a bad maze. Compared to some of the worst mazes at previous years at Halloween Horror Nights, this is definitely nowhere near as bad as those. I would still rank it higher than the majority of mazes in 2021, and I think I like it better than my least favorite mazes from last year. So it's not a bad maze at all because it's definitely still pretty scary. However, it was definitely my least favorite of the mazes from this year. Next, coming in at number 7, we have Evil Dead Rise. Now, honestly, everything 7 and up I think is a good maze. I don't really have that many issues with any of these mazes. I think they're pretty good. Universal Monsters was the only one I was kind of disappointed with. Every other maze I think was better than I thought it would be. Evil Dead Rise, though, was definitely my least favorite out of the remaining ones because it just felt sort of like a reskin of Horror Hotel. I think I actually prefer it to Horror Hotel. I think it was a lot scarier, and the theming inside the rooms was really cool. But you can definitely tell that Horror Hotel was supposed to be Evil Dead Rise last year, and they had to change it last minute. Especially that initial scene in the bathtub. It's almost identical to how it was for Horror Hotel. However, this one was really good. It's really scary. There's some really good jump scares in it. It has probably my favorite jump scare out of any of the mazes at Halloween Horror Nights this year. And overall, it's a really cool maze. Some great set design. I would definitely recommend checking it out if you can. Coming in at number 6 is probably the least scary maze this year. However, this one was really cool, and that was Chucky the Ultimate Kill Count. Now, this maze, when I went through at least, had pretty much no scare actors. I think there were 2 scare actors I saw the entire time, but it was a lot of animatronics, and these animatronics are really cool. They actually work really well. There's a huge one at the end. It is a massive Chucky doll. It is really, really cool. And just overall, this maze is cool. There's no black walls. The set design's amazing. The Chucky animatronics are funny. This maze is just really fun overall. Like I said, it's not scary, so don't go in expecting it to be a scary maze at all. You're not really going to get jump scared, but it's just a ton of fun. I really like this maze. I thought it was a great idea to have a maze similar to how Killer Clowns was last year, where it's kind of more fun than scary. But overall, it was a great maze. I would definitely recommend checking it out if you get a chance. Just do be aware this one gets a really long line. Alright, and coming in at number 5 is the only returning maze for this year, and that was Holidays in Hell. Now, I did this maze back in 2019, and I remember liking it decently then. However, this year, I thought it was a lot better. I think that the set design was a lot better this year. It felt a lot bigger. The maze just felt longer in general, and the scares were on point in this maze. It had some of the best scares out of any of the mazes this year. Overall, it's just a fantastic maze. It's definitely different than the other mazes of this year. It definitely feels like something that was older Halloween Horror Nights. It feels much more like 2019 Halloween Horror Nights, but that's cool too. I like those types of mazes. You got kind of that really loud music that plays whenever the scares come and the flashing lights. It's cool. It's a really fun maze. Like I said, it's a really long maze. And I definitely recommend checking it out if you can. It never really gets that long of a line. It's definitely one of the least popular mazes, but it's a ton of fun and really scary. Alright, and now we've made it to the top half of the mazes. All 4 of these mazes I think were really, really good with very little flaws in them. And coming in at number 4 for me is Stranger Things 4. Now, this actually was the first Stranger Things maze I ever had a chance to do. I never went to the event in 2018, and when I went in 2019, I unfortunately had to skip Stranger Things. So this was my first time doing a Stranger Things maze, and I'm a huge Stranger Things fan. So this maze was really cool to check out. Initially, when I went through it on team member preview night on Tuesday, I was not a huge fan. I thought the set design was really cool, but there were practically no actors in there. However, when I went through last night during opening night, there were so many more actors, and there were some really good scares. Scares in areas that there weren't before, and it had some of the best scares of the event, which is crazy for a maze with this good set design to have that good scares as well. I know a lot of people are a little disappointed with this maze. Honestly, I think it was a lot better than I thought it would be. I was kind of worried it was going to be similar to Stranger Things 2, how that was in 2019, based on what the POVs were of that. However, I think it looks a lot better than how that was. And this maze was really fun. I would definitely recommend checking it out. However, do be warned, this one gets also a very, very long line. This one was around 180 minutes, I believe, for the first 2 to 3 hours of the night going on during opening night. So be sure to either hit this one very first thing or wait till the end of the night. We definitely waited till the end, and we were able to get through it in about 30 minutes. It wasn't too bad, but it's a great maze. I would definitely recommend checking it out. Now, coming in at number 3 is a maze that I really did not know much about before, and I was not sure if it was even going to be good, but this is one of the sleeper hits for me, in my opinion, and that was the Exorcist Believer. This maze was really, really good. It did a fantastic job of building anticipation as you went through the maze, building and building and building until the finale is just scare after scare after scare. It starts off really eerie and creepy. There are practically no black walls in this maze, which I thought was amazing. My only complaint is that it felt a little bit repetitive, but it's a very long maze, so it's going to feel repetitive at times. It was really scary, some fantastic set design. The smells in that maze were really strong. Sometimes not the best smells, but it's definitely there to add something to the maze. I think it definitely does that. It was a really cool maze, though. Super scary. In my opinion, probably one of the scariest mazes, if not the scariest maze of this year. Super cool maze, though. Definitely recommend checking this one out. Alright, and coming in second place, my second favorite maze of this year is Monstruos Monsters of Latin America. This maze was incredible. Seriously, one of the best mazes I think I've ever done at Halloween Horror Nights ever. It was really, really scary and had some fantastic set design. Once again, a really long maze with some really good scares. This maze, I feel like felt similar to how Scarecrow was last year with those up close scares, really loud scares too. It was just a really good maze overall. Like I said, fantastic set design and some really cool animatronics in this one. This maze used animatronics to the full extent, even better than how Chucky did, in my opinion. I know Chucky used a lot more animatronics, but these ones were scary. Some really cool puppets too, huge puppet scares, and just the scares in this maze were really, really good. They were on point. We got pretty much every single scare in our walkthrough of this maze. I would definitely recommend checking this one out. It was a lot of fun, a really, really scary maze, and fantastic set design. But it was not my number one of this year, and that title goes to The Last of Us. Now, this maze, honestly, I was not expecting it to be number one at all. I thought this maze would be kind of mid-tier, similar to how like Walking Dead and other mazes that are kind of similar. I know Last of Us is not really zombies, but the same idea. I thought it'd be similar to that, but this maze was incredible. Now, I have not played the video game, but I've seen the entire show. I thought it was a pretty cool show. Not my favorite show of all time, but this maze was incredible, especially if you know the story, if you've seen the show or played the video game. This maze really is like you're stepping into the video game or the show. It has some show scenes similar to how they do over in Orlando, which is really cool, but then it combines that with the intensity of Hollywood scares. It has really, really good scares. There are 0 black walls in this entire maze, and the scares that it has are really, really strong. This is one of the only mazes that I've actually screamed out loud in based on the scares because they're really, really good. Like I said, though, fantastic set design. Some of the best set design I've ever seen in a maze, ever. It's a long maze, too. It's not the longest of the event. I think that the other mazes like Exorcist and Stranger Things are definitely a lot longer. But this maze was really, really good. If you get a chance to check it out on your visit to Halloween Horror Nights, I would definitely recommend it. But once again, like Stranger Things, this is one of those mazes that gets a really, really long line. I believe this one was also at 180 minutes for even longer than Stranger Things was. So check this one out if you can at the very beginning of the night or, like I said, towards the end of the night. That's what we did. We were able to get on in about 20 minutes. It wasn't too bad. But this maze is incredible. Definitely recommend checking it out. However, that's going to do it for our ranking of all of the mazes at Halloween Horror Nights in 2023. Like I said, this list could change a lot completely, so we're going to have a whole new ranking out towards the end of the season, which will probably be completely different. Be sure to comment down below how you rank the mazes if you've been to Halloween Horror Nights, or comment down below which maze you're most excited to visit if you haven't been yet this year. If you get a chance, I would definitely recommend checking out Halloween Horror Nights. It's a fantastic event this year. It's a ton of fun. It runs until October 31st. It's open, I believe, Thursdays through Sundays, and then starting in October, they're open Wednesdays as well. They added some extra nights in there. It's a lot of fun. And yeah, thank you so much for watching today's video. Be sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss when we have brand new content. We have tons more Halloween content coming out from all the other SoCal theme parks as well as smaller haunts in the Southern California area. We're super excited to check them all out. This was our first time going to a haunt this year, and it was so much fun. Thank you so much for watching World of Immersion today, and we'll catch you in the next video.